Hi guys, I've done an article and I think I've done a few blogs about the offshore bonds and the fund fees, both to help you as a generic investor, either doing it yourself or with an advisor. Now I've just put some of the kind of red flags, particularly for expats, what to do. I won't name any names on the bonds, etc. But what I will do is go through some of the fees. Some of the range you should be looking for is looking for fees both in offshore bonds and platforms with advisors and without, and also some of the funds, their costs, the base costs, and some of how advisors get money on the funds and what to look out for and how to look out for them through searching online. Because I see a lot of clients that actually come to me with portfolios saying, I've got this, etc. This is where I'm invested. You actually look at the funds, and a lot of them are kind of fee paying, or they're kind of obscure kind of funds that shouldn't really be in their portfolio. And you do start to question why they are in there. So just want to help you guys look at this and what alternatives you do have. So offshore bonds, I'm not going to name any names, kind of reasons, but what to look out for in terms of cost is you do have a few charges. You have the establishment charge, you have the admin fee, and then you have your dealing costs, and as well as your IFA fee. So if we touch on the establishment period, this is usually 2 to 10 years. It can be, and the cost, it goes down on the more years you have. Normally, I would say if you're going in offshore bonds anyway, you'll want to be kind of looking for the medium term and don't want to be touching it for the duration of the establishment period. I've written a number of blogs on this and how it can be tax efficient, more so if you're looking at amounts above 250, more kind of 500,000, looking to return to places where they can be used tax effectively, mainly the UK, Australia with the ATO and UK tax laws. So again, if you're looking for that, one, you need to have more than that amount, 500,000 or 250,000 at the very base cost, and two, you need to be looking to hold it for 2 to 10 years at the very minimum without making withdrawals from the funds. Now, here's what you want to be looking for in terms of the cost. Now, normally the base cost for the admin fee is around £400. So that's again why you want to be looking at more 250 to 500,000 pound range. In terms of the establishment charge, now this is where the advisors do charge, and the commission is not clearly disclosed, or it may be disclosed, but it's in kind of little writing and on the 49th page or whatever. So what you want to be looking for the establishment charge is nothing over kind of 0.2% per year. So if it's 1% plus admin fee, they're getting kind of 8 to 9% commission through the advisor and the offshore bond. You want to be looking at 0.2%. On what we've done in some examples on the lowest offshore bonds, there's 0.067% on the 10-year period. But for a 10-year period or even a 5-year period, especially 10, you want to be looking at 0.2%. 5-year period, you want to be looking at 0.4% maximum fees plus the admin charge of whatever it is. After that, then it drops down to just the admin charge. Again, this, make sure you're doing it at the base cost, because if the relevances of this is if you're looking to go over it over a platform, especially if you've got larger amounts of 500,000, it doesn't make sense to go into it. If you're in a, say, for example, Saudi Arabia, where you've got tax efficiency, you may as well go on a platform. And then if you're looking to return to the UK, most circumstances, it can work out a bit differently. Then just put into an offshore bond. Obviously, you get time relief appointment on the amount and the time you've held the bond for, so it may be worth going into bond, but if they're at that cost, there's no point before. So make sure if you're getting proposed an offshore bond, or if you're looking at an offshore bond, make sure it's around 0.2% plus the admin fee that's normally kind of 400, 450 pounds or currency equivalent on a 10-year. If it's a 5-year term, make sure it's 0.4% for that 5-year, and then the way the charges work after those 5-year period, the 0.4% or 0.2% on the 10-year, say if the base cost, it then drops off. So the longer you hold an offshore bond, so if you're looking to hold it for 20 years without taking withdrawals, it can work out quite tax efficient. So again, that's just something to look out for. Again, what I've done on this article here, if you have a look here, the trading fees are ridiculous on offshore bonds. So again, it's not really a platform where you want to be trading. It's just a buy and hold platform where you just want to kind of go into a fund for 5 years and maybe make 1 or 2 switches a year maximum. Because what we did on the studies of offshore bonds found that the average fee was £40. We've done it. I'll put a link into the description where we've gone into a lot of detail going over the kind of most popular offshore bonds, the cost and the trading fees when you've done 1 to 2 trades a year. If you compare it to a platform, it's non-comparison. So that's another aspect that a lot of advisors don't tell you about an offshore bond, is that it costs significantly more than a platform on this. We've done Saxo Bank, but normally even some of the advisor-led platforms, they're about £5 or $5 for trading an ETF. So look, it's 8 times more. So if you're trading, say for example, 10 times a year, it's really not worth it, especially if you're living in a tax-efficient location. So here we come on to the funds. Now this is using this fund as an example because I know it's quite a popular one. It's not to discriminate against this fund because I think it's quite a good fund. But here's to see that you either you're using it at the base cost, or the advisor that is advising on what funds to use is using the base cost. Now here, if you look, you have the 2 funds, the C fund and the Y fund. You can look these up on Morningstar, other fund sites such as TrustNet, and here you can see the max initial charge, 5%, the ongoing charge 1.5%. So the exact same funds, as you can see here, you go down 0.65, no initial fund. So what a tip is to look at this is type the ISIN number in, which you've been proposed. Either you can find it out or ask your advisor for the ISIN number. Put it into Google search or whatever search you use. Look it up and make sure it's at the base cost that you're using for the funds. Now, normally stick to ETFs. Now, this is quite a popular one with active funds, obviously with ETFs such as Vanguard, iShares, etc. That's not applicable. So do question your advisor why you are using active funds if you are using it, and if you are using active fund, make sure that they use at the base cost. Do your research yourself, make sure you look them up on the internet and you find their base costs using the Morningstar sites or other TrustNet to search these. Now these are just a few instances. There is a lot of other options that advisors do use, but make sure these funds normally cost no more for an active fund than more than 1%. For a passive fund, I'd look no more. They range quite widely, but no more than 0.5% for a passive fund. That's the conclusion on offshore bonds and funds to look out for as an expat living in places. Hope you found this useful. I will put a few links in the description. That we've done a number of articles that explain in quite a bit more detail about the logistics of offshore bonds, how they work if you're moving back to the UK, when not to use them, and also a bit about the funds and how to create portfolios. I'll put a description. If you do have any questions, feel free to message me at info@investmentforexpats.com.